So I'm going to set this up. So I did some research. I was going down the rabbit hole. I was going down the old world rabbit hole, and I was looking at some old post offices. And I know I am far from the first person to do this, and I'm probably going to be not the best at doing it. Actually, I'm sure I'm not going to be the best at doing it. But I guess just because I'm interested in this, and I know people are going to say I'm scamming on other people's content, but I believe there's something significant about the old world stuff because I think it relates to the things we're talking about now. So I think that's why I'm going to go down this rabbit hole, and I'm going to show people that there's lies in our past, and where that takes us, anybody can be the judge. But yes, I would say that because I'm interested in, again, people always say like you need to do this or you need to do that or you're changing your content to this. A lot of the things that I do, obviously, I pray to be led by the Holy Spirit, but obviously the things that I find interesting are the things I make videos about. So that's why I'm going to start. I'm going to start doing some of this. Let me see, screen. So what we've got here is these are old world post office. Like I'm sure everybody can picture the post office near them. These buildings don't look like them. And so what I did was I found something on Pinterest that was showing like 25 historic post offices in the United States. Insane buildings, absolutely insane. And what I tried to do was I tried to show the post office from so I got all those, I put them in a format, and then I said, you know what, I got to show a contrast between these post offices and also like the new ones, like whatever the ones they're currently doing. So without further ado, so the first one is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Okay, and so like there's a theme with these things, and they're also like they're very similar in a lot of ways. And so I'm going to kind of just let this play. But I mean, like, there's a common theme with like the bricks kind of being like the first floors being different, and it looks like they got vents down there. But it almost looks like I wonder if those were windows at some point. But yeah, so we're gonna come up. So take a good look at. Here's the new Pittsburgh post office. The new one is still pretty nice, like, but it still kind of has like a little bit of an old world charm, but it also looks like a more modern building. This one is some of the big cities still have like nice post office. Some of them don't have nice ones at all. But there you go. So you see, there's a nice then and now. Okay, so now we're going to Troy, New York. So Troy, New York, again, very similar style. They got like these bell towers. They got these clock towers, and they look very casual-ish. And again, they got like, it looks like it's possibly on the first floor. They could have had, I don't know. It looks like maybe those could have been windows at some point. So Troy, New York, and then so we're gonna take a good look at this one, and then we're going to look at the new one. So the new one still kind of has an old world vibe to it, but obviously, again, not near as impressive. So now we're going to, was it Saginaw, Michigan? And this one looks like a castle. It looks like a straight up castle. Like that is strange, right? Like it's got like the antennas on everything. It's got towers. It's got yeah, that looks weird. That's a post office. Does that look normal to you guys? That does not look normal to me. Okay, so you're going to love the new one. So there's the new one. So there's what the modern Saginaw, Michigan post office looks like. And some of these places once had like they probably have multiple post office, but that's the one I found. I'm not saying they don't have a more impressive one, but that's the one I found. Albany, New York is next. It looks like, I mean, is that a bell tower? I mean, that's obviously epic. Look at all the power lines and stuff in this video. It's strange. Obviously, once again, it has a big tower. Like all these have big towers. What's going on with that? Okay, so there, so there's the picture I found of the new Albany, New York post office. Now there might be another one. There might be one better looking than this. I'm not saying there's not. But when my quick web search, this is the one I found. So yes, that's what you got now in Albany, New York. Okay, so there's another one. So we got Duluth, Minnesota. Now this one is crazy because if you kind of see, you definitely see on this one where the street goes up and you can see where it looks like the mud flood or whatever covered part of the building because the building's like sideways. And then you have all these things on the first floor that look like they were windows that are now at ground level. And there's your new Duluth post office. Now, again, there's probably better ones than that, but yeah, they're more like DMVs now. But that's the one I found. Obviously, the old one's gone. Toledo, Ohio. Now we have Toledo, Ohio, and this one looks like a massive mansion. It does not look like a post office. Like, why would a post office ever look like this? You have to say that these things have been repurposed. Like, it makes no sense to me that they would put this much money into a building just to sort mail. Like, what else were they doing in there? And there is your new Toledo, Ohio, post office. Again, there might be another one, but this is the one I saw. The point being is, if they use small ones now, why did they ever use those giant ones? Crazy stuff. Okay, so we're going into from Toledo to New York City. Now look at this building. Now that thing is epic. This looks a lot like the executive building I saw in Washington, D.C. Like, can you imagine a better looking building than this one? Look at all the columns, all the arches. I mean, the roof, everything. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. See, here's another New York City one. This one looks straight out of Washington, D.C. This is the architecture I saw all over D.C. I mean, this one is, look at all the columns. Guys, look, if you look in the corner, you can see looks like a horse and buggy. What is going on with that building? It looks like a fortress or a temple. It does not look like they need that for mail, right? And this is an illustration of another New York City one, but I mean, again, similar where it's got the tower again. It's got like the copper roof. It's a post office. Again, there's horse and buggy out front. Like, why did they need that for mail? Again, was this all for sorting mail? Yeah, for the Pony Express. Like, why did they need? You think they would need horse stables for these things? And there's the new, and so that's, again, this is not a terrible building, but again, this is the New York City post office now. I think this is their main post office. And again, it's very plain. Obviously, it's not as grand as the other ones. By no means. Okay, Port Huron, Michigan. Again, old world building, not quite as impressive as the other ones, but I mean, like, look at the lady in the fancy dress. What's interesting again about these pictures is, where are all the people at? I mean, these are big downtown areas. Where are the people at? There's just random people dressed super nice doing who knows what. And there's your Port Huron, Michigan post office now. It's got a pyramid. It's got brick. It's got, curtain wall glass paneling. Terrible. Montgomery, Alabama. Here's another example of the street goes up like this, and then the building looks like it was built on an angle. But I believe the building was probably level. The ground's not level. Eventually, they paved the roads up past where the mud was. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. But look at this. Look at all the arches. Again, it's got a tower. And then here's the new one is, again, it does got arch windows, but it's just a plain brick building. Completely boring. No, nothing on the roof. No tower. Again, why not? Scranton, Pennsylvania. Think The Office. Look at this again. All the arches. It's got another tower. It looks like it's got a copper roof. It's again, these buildings are so nice. You like I said, you don't see anything like this anymore. They don't build them like they used to. There's no doubt about it. I mean, like again, there's no arguing that point. They do not build them like they used to. And now, so here's the screen. Here's the new screen, Pennsylvania not airport, post office. That is what you expect a post office to look like. Like nothing. Nothing. Louisville, Kentucky. Again, with the towers. They all had clock towers on them pretty much. Like, just look at this thing. It's got at the gable ends, it has, looks like they got sculptures and stuff. This looks like DC. It looks like the fronts of temples. I mean, again, they look like they're temples. They look like they're temples or castles or something. Let me see. And there you go. So this is now the Louisville, Kentucky post office. I mean, again, they might have another one, but yes, that's the one that I found. It's not very impressive at all. Cleveland, Ohio. Look at this one. I mean, what are those? Are those eagles on the top of it? Eagles. Again, it's this is more like kind of like reminiscent of the buildings I saw in Washington, D.C. Look at all the columns in there, like the half columns. The first floor looks cool. Like I said, they often have this kind of striped kind of pattern on the first floor. Very cool, huge building. And so here's the new Cleveland one, where again, it's like, it's not terrible, but again, it's not nice either. This one is crazy. Boston, Massachusetts. Now you really have to look at this. You have to see like these people. See, here's my cursor. Look how small the people are compared to this building. I mean, it is absolutely epic. The horse and buggies around there. Those people built this building. Again, to sort mail. Sort mail. They're sorting mail in this thing. I don't know. I don't see I don't see how that's likely. I just don't see why. Again, so this is the modern Boston one. Again, so you can still see like a little bit of old world vibe to it, but again, nothing like what we just saw. Why not? Again, you have to ask the question, why would they ever do this? And okay, so here you go. This one is crazy. Chicago, Illinois. Look at that building. That is insane. Absolutely insane. Again, I could not dream of a better looking building than this. This is great. This is a post office. Again, horse and buggies. They got some kind of weird fence around it. The streets look like dirt. And then the modern Chicago one is still like a mega building. But again, it's got no charm. It's got no character to it. Oh, let me go back. That was kind of quick. It's got no charm. It's got no character. It's just plain and boring, but big. And again, also very old. And that's why it's still not as terrible as some of the other ones. Okay, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Again with the tower. Like they have, again, this looks like a straight out of Europe. It's got this massive tower. For what reason? I don't know. It looks like, again, you can kind of see where there's windows on the first floor level that are at ground level. Again, mud flood stuff. Weird stuff. And so then we're going to go to the modern Milwaukee post office. And of course, what are we going to see? Look at the modern one. What is that? The modern post office looks like a parking garage. Am I wrong? It looks like a parking garage. Like, what is that? Like, how are we have improved as a society or went from that to that? St. Paul, Minnesota. Again, there's a clear style with most of these post offices. They have this tower. They kind of look like, I don't know, I don't even know what kind of style you'd say they have other than old world. But they all kind of have this look to them where they all have this big clock tower or bell tower or something there. And they have obviously pitched roofs. They've got all kinds of stuff. And again, maybe possibly evidence of first floor windows. And then there's your St. Paul post office now. Yeah, it does have a tower though. but not quite as grand as the other one. They're in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Again, so this has again a big clock tower. It's got multiple other towers, and obviously this building is epic. It's got columns everywhere. It's got arched windows everywhere. It's crazy. Again, so you really have to wrap your mind around it. These are post offices. Like, to me, it seems pretty clear. And again, so here's the new Minneapolis one. Again, still a giant building, but again, there's no charm to this. There's no style to it. It's kind of that brutalist style of like, these things are oppressive looking. Again, Detroit, Michigan. Once again, another giant clock tower. Again, you guys are seeing the theme here. Typically, they had giant clock towers, arch windows on everything, basically. They have like these antenna things on each one of the little gabled roofs. They have, again, a post office. Is this crazy? Has anybody seen these pictures before? I mean, to me, when I first saw them, I mean, I can't get enough of this. Detroit, Michigan, again, so this looks like a more modern building because it looks like regular brick. Look at it. That's what we can build today. Not terrible looking, but no charm, no style. It's glass and brick, and it's got no style at all. A flat roof. I mean, that is what you expect to see of a government building. You do not expect to see that in Augusta, Georgia. Again, gigantic tower, not quite the same as the other ones, but again, spired roofs. It's got very pitched roofs. It's got, again, the arches all over the place. Again, looks like there's possibly that there might have been first floor windows. They could just be vents to the bottom floor, but I don't know. And there you go. So then there's the modern Augusta, Georgia one. And again, look, that's clearly a modern building. Just regular brick, nothing nice about it. It looks dirty. It looks like you'd expect to see of a government building. Memphis, Tennessee. Again, another giant clock tower. More arched windows, more antennas. Looks like maybe a bell tower too. Why? Why do these all have clock towers to them? There was something about these things that were obviously not what we're told they are. And look at the new Memphis, Tennessee post office. It's like we went from like beauty to like brutalism. I mean, that's literally what the style is called, is brutalism. It is disgusting. I mean, look at it. These buildings look dirty, and they look like, why do they ever demo the old ones to build that? Unless we're telling the truth about the history. Again, Birmingham, Alabama. Another clock tower. Is that a bell tower too? I mean, it looks like it's hollow in there. There might be a bell in there. I'm not sure. But all the arches, again, there's stuff on the first floor that looks like there could have been windows. These people are like obviously ants around this place. Crazy. Bananas. I mean, I think it's bananas. And there's your modern Birmingham one. Again, this one is, again, we got the style of the brutalism, where it's this block. This is what they started building after World War II. Just straight blocks. Everything is stained looking. These buildings look way older than they are, and they look hideous. They blew up the beautiful ones to build these things. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And there you go. So here's another one. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Look at this one. This one is a lot. It doesn't quite have the tower, but Philly has plenty of old world buildings. This is probably just another example of it. Again, very nice. And then you'll see what they got next. And yeah, again, this is still kind of like it's still a very old building. It's still a very nice building, but it's definitely not at the same level as the other one. there's literally no examples of these buildings getting better. They all get worse. Baltimore, Maryland. Again, another giant tower. I don't see a clock on this one, but again, look at the statue in front of it. I don't. Like I said, I don't get it. I mean, all the arch windows. You guys seeing again? The pattern is very clear at this point. And then we're going to go to the modern Baltimore one, and yeah, again, so this is another big building. Looks like this one was built old. This actually kind of looks like an old world building, or maybe a copy of one. But again, nothing with the style, nothing with the same scope to any of this stuff. It seems like they decided to nuke this whole idea and hide the past. So that's basically my presentation. I mean, that's what I found today. If you guys enjoyed that, I'll do some more of that stuff. I just think it's kind of just neat to look through that stuff because there's something about the old world that was like it was a more beautiful time. There was charm, there was style to this stuff. And now, like, again, I get having practical things and not spending a bunch of extra money on things that like you don't need to. But if our taxpayer money was going to anything, you wouldn't hate it so much if they spent some of that money that we sent overseas here and built a building that would last for hundreds of years. The sad part is these buildings did not last hundreds of years because they were demolished. Thank you, Paper City Dolls. Yeah, these buildings were demolished. So in order to put up that, I watched a video some years back now, and of course, it's before I woke up at all spiritually, and it was about architecture, and it was basically about the way architecture makes you feel. Like when you probably go to if you're like, let's just say you lived in that city, and you walked past these buildings, there's something awe-inspiring about them that actually says, "Wow, we're capable of so much more than we are." And it might make you actually go to try to do more. But then you go to places like that show that brutalism style, these blocks, there's an oppressiveness about them. Again, they're stained, they're dirty, they're ugly. And so if you think about it, like if the idea of like gentrification, you gentrify places like old buildings because old buildings are better than the ones that we have now. So you basically restore old buildings, and then the ones that were built after that time, you basically just destroy and build new things because they're ugly and nobody wants to take care of them. And so there's something about like living in a place that's beautiful that makes people aspire to be better. And then there's places that are ugly, and then it's like people leave their trash on the streets, people treat each other poorly in those places. That's what the whole video was about. It makes perfect sense. And maybe it is. And maybe it is like the idea that if the devil's loose, he's trying to get rid of any beauty in the world. And because ugly architecture begats some ugly behavior. And obviously when you combine that with people who are, with the devil who is putting physical or spiritual oppression on people, maybe that's what it's about. It makes sense to me. Because you watch that stuff, and I just, like I said, I cannot get enough of like looking at the old world stuff, because there was a time where civilization obviously peaked. It's not at the peak anymore. We are clearly on the downward slope of whatever that was, and I don't think there's any way to deny it at this point. It was funny. I actually, before I did this, I was talking to my daughters, and I asked them the question. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you think that the post offices are better now, or they were 150 years ago? And of course, the answer was, they're better now. Like, it blows their mind. And I asked them, I said, why do you think that they're like that? And of course they were like, I don't know. And I said, I don't either. But that's what we're trying to find out.